They laughed at the wrong person. Not someone weak. Not someone broken. Not someone who would stay down. They laughed at you, and that was the most catastrophic mistake they will ever make in their lifetime. You remember the moment. You don't need me to describe it. It lives inside you like a splinter that never fully came out. The way they smiled when you struggled. The way they whispered when you fell. The way their eyes lit up, actually lit up, when the thing you feared most finally happened to you. And instead of reaching out a hand, they reached for their phones. They reached for each other. They celebrated in the dark, thinking the dark would protect them. It didn't. Because here is what they never understood about you, what they couldn't see, what they were never meant to see: you were not falling. You were being positioned. Every moment they mocked, heaven was watching. Every tear you swallowed in silence. Every night you pressed your face into a pillow so no one would hear you break. Every morning you stood up again when everything inside you screamed to stay down. It was all being recorded. Not forgotten. Not overlooked. Recorded. You didn't find this video today. This video was sent to you. There is no algorithm for what you're feeling right now. This is a message that was prepared for you specifically, for this specific season of your life, because something is about to shift so violently in your favor that the people who celebrated your pain will not have words for what they witness. They laughed too soon. And now, the silence begins. If this already reached something inside you, type the word justice in the comments right now and subscribe, because what comes next will change how you see everything that happened to you. Part 1. The truth named and validated. Let's talk about what they actually did to you. Not in vague terms. Not softly. Clearly. They watched you carry weight that would have destroyed most people, and instead of honoring that, they used it as entertainment. Your pain became their content. Your loss became their gossip. Your setback became the story they told at dinner tables, with laughter. And the cruelest part? Some of them claimed to love you. Some of them were supposed to be safe. Family members who should have been shelter became spectators. Friends you would have bled for sat in the stands and cheered for the wrong side. And you did something remarkable in response. Something most people would never do. You stayed silent. Not because you were weak. Because you understood, on some deep and ancient level, that your vindication was not yours to orchestrate. You knew, even when knowing it hurt, that the fire that was trying to consume you was actually refining you. And so you let it burn. You let them talk. You kept moving through the smoke when you could barely breathe. You showed up on days when showing up took everything you had. That is not weakness. That is the rarest form of spiritual warfare there is. But I need you to hear something now, and I need you to let it land fully before you move past it. What they did to you was not invisible. The universe does not have blind spots. God does not have blind spots. Every whispered cruelty. Every performative concern that was actually surveillance. Every moment they positioned themselves above you in their hearts and minds, it was all seen. It was all catalogued. And the weight of what they sent toward you in darkness is now being sent back toward them with an interest they are not prepared to pay. You didn't need to curse them. You didn't need to expose them. You didn't need to announce your pain publicly or wage war on social media or fight for the narrative. The work was already being done for you in dimensions they don't have access to. Here is the truth about the people who celebrated your pain. They revealed themselves completely. Not to you. To heaven. And when someone fully reveals themselves in the presence of someone anointed, they don't just harm that person. They activate something. They trigger a response that is ancient and absolute and has nothing to do with luck or coincidence or karma as a concept. They called down a verdict on themselves the moment they rejoiced in your suffering. And that verdict is almost ready to be delivered. You've been waiting for something without knowing what you were waiting for. You've had a quiet certainty that this wasn't over, that the story didn't end in that low place. That certainty wasn't delusion. It was prophecy. Your own spirit, seeing forward, refusing to let you close the book on a chapter that still had pages left. This is one of those pages. Part 2, Descent into the Fire. I want you to go back there for a moment. Not to wound you. To witness you. Go back to the night when it felt absolutely final. When the evidence against you was so overwhelming that even you started to believe the story they were telling about you. When the loneliness wasn't just emotional, it was physical, it was cellular. It sat in your chest like a stone that wouldn't dissolve no matter how many times you prayed, no matter how many times you tried to breathe through it. You were in that place. Maybe you've been in that place multiple times. And every single time, the people who should have stood beside you found a reason not to. Found a reason to protect their comfort, their image, their distance from your difficulty. And so you learned something brutal and necessary. You learned to survive in rooms where no one was rooting for you. That lesson cost you something. It cost you your innocence about people. It cost you the luxury of assuming goodwill. It made you quieter, more watchful, more self-contained. And there are days when you still grieve the version of yourself that existed before you understood what people were capable of. Grieve it. That grief is holy. That grief means you were not the one who chose cynicism. It was chosen for you, by people who should have known better. But listen to what that refining process produced in you. You are not who you were. You are not the open, unguarded, easily wounded version of yourself that they targeted. You have been forged. The very suffering they poured on you, like it was supposed to drown you, became the furnace. And the person standing on the other side of that furnace, the person listening to this right now, is someone they are completely unprepared to deal with. They built their confidence on a version of you that no longer exists. They made their calculations based on data that is now obsolete. They assumed that what they saw then, the struggle, the fall, the silence, was the final version. They stopped watching because they thought the story was over. They moved on, comfortable, satisfied, sure that they had seen all there was to see. They missed the metamorphosis entirely. And that is perhaps the most devastating thing about what's coming. They will not understand it when it arrives. They will not have language for what they witness in your life in the days and months ahead. Because they never saw the work that happened in the dark. They only saw the caterpillar dissolve. They walked away before they could see what that dissolution became. The wings were growing the entire time they were celebrating the cocoon's silence. And now the silence is almost over. What happens next cannot be explained away. Cannot be minimized. Cannot be stolen from you by their narrative. Because what God restores publicly, no one can take privately. Part 3. The Turning Point. Here is the revelation that changes everything. The people who hurt you, the ones who laughed, who whispered, who celebrated, they were never the main characters in your story. They were catalysts. Instruments. Tools used by a force larger than any of them to break you open at exactly the right depth, at exactly the right time, so that something ancient and extraordinary inside you could finally be released. You cannot be chosen and remain comfortable. You cannot carry the weight of the assignment on your life and coast through seasons of ease. Something in you required pressure. Required breaking. Required the specific violence of betrayal, because only betrayal at that level creates the particular kind of unbreakable person that your destiny demands you become. This does not justify what they did. Let me be clear about that. What was done to you was wrong. Full stop. The laughter was cruel. The abandonment was real. The wounds were genuine. None of that gets softened or spiritually bypassed in this message. Justice does not require you to minimize your pain to receive it. But here is the shift. You have been seeing yourself as the victim of their choices. And for a season, that was accurate. But that season has ended. What has been happening in you, this quiet rebuilding, this slow accumulation of clarity and strength that you've barely been able to name, it has been preparation. Not for revenge. For arrival. There is a version of your life that exists on the other side of this season that they cannot touch. That they did not have the power to prevent, no matter what they did. And the reason it could not be prevented is because the hands that shaped it are not human hands. What was woven into your path before you were born cannot be unraveled by people who only became aware of you after you were born. They came in too late to change the ending. Their cruelty, their laughter, their coalition against you, all of it was noise. Loud, painful, seemingly powerful noise. But noise is not a verdict. Noise is not a prophecy. Noise is not your future. And here is what justice actually looks like in the spiritual economy. It doesn't always come as punishment. Sometimes, often, it comes as contrast. The same people who watched you struggle will watch you rise. And there is no explanation they can construct, no way to rewrite what they know they saw, that can make sense of the distance between where you were and where you are going. They will have to hold both truths simultaneously, the version of you they dismissed, and the version of you they can no longer ignore. That contrast is the silence. That contrast is what takes their words away. You are not waiting for someone to avenge you. Heaven already moved. Part 4. Transformation and Arrival. I need you to do something right now in this moment, as these words land on whatever is still tender inside you. I need you to let go of the need for them to understand. Not forgive, that is your own journey on your own timeline, and no one gets to rush that. But release the need for the people who hurt you to comprehend the magnitude of what they did. Release the hunger for their acknowledgement. Release the fantasy of the apology that finally arrives with the full weight of what it should carry. Because here is the hard, liberating truth. People who celebrated your pain rarely have the spiritual depth to genuinely mourn it. What they are capable of giving you will never match what the wound cost you. You will not receive what you deserve from them. You will receive it from life itself. And what life owes you is extraordinary. Everything you lost will be replaced, not with lesser versions, but with things so clearly superior that even you will struggle to believe the exchange rate. The relationships that emptied you will be replaced by ones that fill you in ways you forgot were possible. The doors that were closed in your face will swing open, and you will walk through them with a calm confidence that comes only from having survived what you survived. The identity they tried to reduce you to, the failure, the broken one, the person who didn't make it, will be replaced by an identity forged in fire, unassailable, recognizable to anyone who has eyes to see. You are not who they said you were. You never were. You are someone who walked through betrayal and didn't become bitter. Someone who absorbed cruelty and didn't become cruel. Someone who was abandoned and still chose, in the quiet of their own soul, to believe in something better. That is not ordinary. That is not something that can be manufactured or performed. That is what happens when a person is built for something beyond what their circumstances suggested. They measured you by your valley. But you were never made for the valley, you were made for the summit. And the valley was just the path. Now hear this, and let it be the thing you carry forward from this moment. The silence of your enemies is not something you fight for. It is something you grow into. Every day you choose to keep building, to keep creating, to keep healing, to keep becoming. You are constructing a testimony so undeniable that their words simply run out of room to exist. They will go quiet not because they changed, but because you rose so high that their voices can no longer reach you. And from that height, you won't even be looking down. You'll be too busy becoming everything they told you that you'd never be. The vindication is not coming. It is already here. Walking toward you with your name in its mouth, arriving in the form of everything you thought was lost. Stand still. Let it find you. Ere I leave you. But not the way most messages leave you, with a hollow feeling that the words were beautiful but somehow didn't quite reach the place that needed reaching. I leave you with a truth so simple it might be the most powerful thing you've heard. You survived the thing that was designed to destroy you. That means it couldn't. Think about what that means. Really sit inside that for a moment. The plot against you, the one they built with their whispers and their laughter and their quiet satisfaction at your suffering, it failed. Not because you were lucky. Not because you are perfect. Because you are protected at a level that they do not have access to. Because the hand over your life is not their hand. And the voice that speaks over your future is not their voice. Everything they said about you in the dark will be answered in the light. Everything they took will be returned. Everyone who watched you fall will watch you rise, and they will know, deeply, uncomfortably, undeniably, exactly who you are. The season of silence for the people who celebrated your pain is not coming. It is here. You are the proof. You breathing right now, still standing, still choosing to hear a message about your own worth and your own future. You are the proof that they were wrong. That they have always been wrong. That they will, in time, understand how catastrophically wrong they were. Stand in that. Walk in that. And become, fully, unapologetically, magnificently, everything that silences them. If this message was sent to you today, subscribe. Because what comes next in your life deserves witnesses, and this channel will be here every step of the way.